In this video we're going to look at the brass part for Next to Me. Now, as said in a previous video, I'm finding it very difficult to shape this song, so I'm kind of getting each part to a standard where I like it and it's kind of working. Doing it this way will require me to do a lot more mixing towards the end, but it is quite difficult to hear how this is going to all pan out until all the parts are in. So there's a few things that you might want to do. At the moment, I've got all of the brass parts on the same line. I'm pretty sure that when it comes to it, I'm probably going to want to separate these out into two lines. At the moment, you can see that the brass only happens during this chorus section, and it's an almost identical repeat for each section, okay? And what you've got is this kind of octave spread from C2 to C3, sorry, A2 to A3, starting with a long note, going to a short stab. Now the envelope for this is quite a long attack followed by a short release, and I've sculpted that in the EXS24, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Now, as said previously, you are going to want to separate these out into different parts, so you've got two channels rather than one, and this will give you a fuller mix. But at the moment, as it currently stands, I'm just leaving it here so I can get all the parts in, but that is probably something that I will do. Now, the instrument that I've chosen for this sound, I've come into the orchestral sounds and I've gone to the brass, and then I've followed it through to this full brass, and it's quite a nice sound. On its own, it just kind of works. I have changed a few things because I wanted it to kind of punch the way that theirs does. So I have changed a few things, including the EQ and the shape of the envelope here. So let's start by looking at the EXS24 and seeing what I've done there. Now, the main bulk of what's happening here is I've just reduced reduced the sustain by two notches, and I've pushed up the attack ever so slightly, and I've pulled down the release. This is giving me the envelope shape that I wanted, okay? So that's the main thing that I've done here. I haven't really changed anything else about this instrument apart from its envelope. Okay, the next thing I did is I put a spreader on. As you can see, the actual instrument, I've got it going down the centre, but it's quite a full spread, so it's going across the stereo field quite nicely. So in order to capture that, I've put this spreader on, and I've left it at its default, so it's pushing all the way across the stereo field. The next thing I've done is obviously added my conventional reverb, but then I've added this overdrive sound. Now this overdrive sound just gives it that bit of distortion, and it's quite nice, and I've changed these settings ever so slightly just to kind of make the tone the way I wanted it to. In contrast with the tone that the overdrive is pulling from, I've also come into the brass sound itself and I've pushed it up around the 5K notch and just cleaned up the sound around the 200 Hertz parameter. This is pretty much all I've done. I've had to adjust the volume as well to pull it down. I will automate this as well to give that a bit more shape. So let's see what we've got so far. So here is theirs, and once again, a good technique is just to watch the envelope, watch the notes with the actual track playing, so you can make sure that the phrasing is right. You will need to concentrate on the phrasing for this because the attack and release do need to be kind of well sculpted, okay? So have a listen to theirs, and then we'll listen to ours and just make sure we've got the shaping the way we want it.
Next to me. Next to me.
Okay, as you can see, it's going through nicely. So let's mute their part and let's listen to what we've got so far.
Next to me. Ooh, next to me. Ooh, next to me. Ooh, you'll find him next to me.
As you can hear, my mix is still sounding quite empty compared to theirs, so that's one of the reasons that I am still struggling with this a little bit, but we're going to cover a lot more of that in the mixing stage as well. So we're just interested at the moment in getting the notes in and getting them sounding almost as accurate as possible. Just so you can hear my sound on its own, let's just play that on its own, and then we'll let you guys get on with this and have a go for yourselves. Okay, so that's what I've got. I'm quite happy with the sound. I feel there's still more to do in order to make it a bit more lively, in order to make it almost identical to the piece. But we're not in a bad place, so give it your best shot, and I'll see you in the next video.